All right, left-hander chassis update here. So we ended up taking the car out Thursday just for hot laps. That's what our local track does. It's basically a test session. The long story short, there was Wednesday night. We were trying to get the car finished up. There was a lot to do in a very little amount of time. We didn't get it all finished, but we got it about 90% done. Got it on the trailer. My dad was going to kind of finish a few things, strap it down Thursday, and then meet me at the track. Well, Wednesday he wasn't feeling well. He ended up having to go to the hospital on Thursday. So then I got off work a little bit early, kind of talked to him, seen what his thoughts were. He wanted me to go ahead and take it to the track. So I finished up everything I could on the car, got it to the track, had a bunch of little stuff come up. We had a flat on the trailer and all sorts of fun. But got it all handled, got it to the track, and we made our first laps. I put a video out of that. Now, my takeaway from Thursday was everything went pretty well. I was pretty happy with it. We definitely had a push in corners 1 and 2, which is a very tough corner on that track. And then 3 and 4 felt great, but as we continued to test and to continue to make laps, the car got looser and looser in the back, but our stagger never changed and nothing in the rear changed, so it really didn't make any sense to me. But there was kind of 100 things that we needed to be checking over. So I made a toe adjustment and a sway bar adjustment, and that's really about it. Oh, I did increase the stagger on the front as well to try to help with the push. And that seemed to help a little bit. We put about 30 laps on it. It seemed like a decent test. Was able to check it over for the last 3 or 4 days now. Kind of found a couple different things and made some different adjustments on the car. So I was going to go over that real quick with you. One being what I had found is, it'll probably be easier to show you on this side, but you have, I'm not going to be able to show you guys without getting it up on the lift, but basically you have a bracket on the axle that goes to your lower trailing arm. And the bracket on the left rear had actually cracked where it was welded to the axle tube, and it actually bent over. So that was about ready to break. The long story short is that was already welded on the rear end when we got the car. And what it seems like is someone tack welded it, had the upper clamp on, and was using that to support it, and it finally just let loose. So we got that welded back up, got that fixed. That definitely probably is a lot to do with why the rear end was getting loose. Huge that we caught that, but that's just kind of one of those unforeseen things when you have a car that someone else built and you've got to go over everything. So luckily, no damage. We caught it. We've got it fixed, but that's why you take it out and test. And it's kind of a good note to, if something doesn't feel right, you should probably get it off the track, and that's absolutely what we did. I made some laps and I kind of cut it short because it just didn't quite feel right. Got it home, found that, got it welded up, got it fixed. Now, with that all being said, before that happened, I still had a push and it was still a little bit loose off of 4. So I've made some adjustments to try to correct that. I've got some different tires on it as well. The tires that were on it were a year old and they were shot a year ago. The tires I have on it now are a little bit better, but the problem is I wanted to have 4 new tires, but these D800 tires that we run, Hoosier's completely out of stock and about 3-week wait to get any. So there's no new tires available. So called some friends and we're able to come up with this set. It's the best that we can come up with. So fingers crossed that they'll work decent for us. But one thing that I changed is this left front shock. So this left front shock, it is still a tie-down shock, and it was a tie-down shock. And what that means is traditionally a standard valving on this shocks are a 5-5, which means 5 compression, 5 on rebound. So compression is obviously when it collapses, rebounds when it extends. The one that was here was a 5-14, so 5 on compression, but 14 on rebound. So super, super hard for this wheel to travel downward. And what that does is it helps prevent the car from rolling to the right side, and it kind of limits the weight on the right side a little bit. But what that also does is prevent weight from transferring to the rear as quickly as what you need to get good bite off the corner. So I changed this shock now to a 5.9, so essentially like 5 clicks looser on the rebound to help transfer weight to the rear. But what that's going to do is put a little bit more weight over there, which I'm pretty sure we can afford to do that. But just to be safe, I then changed the rear shock from a 4.4 valving to a 4 on compression and 6 on rebound. And that'll help slow down the weight transfer to this right front on cornering. So kind of counterbalanced what we did here with the rear. It's all good in theory. The other thing was the rear ride height had sagged down about an inch. They wanted it at 4 3/4. It was at like 3 3/4. So I got the ride height back where it needs to be. And then the panhard bar is a little bit too low, and that would also be part of our push. So I raised it a 1/4 inch, but I think it's still going to need to be raised a little bit more. But I wanted to give us just a good baseline to start from there. The other thing is going to be a rear spring change. I had a 200 spring and a 175. I'm going to have a 200 and a 200, and I might even go a 225 and a 200, pending if these springs show up. So I'd ordered these springs a few days ago, honestly 5 days ago. They're supposed to be here yesterday, and then it got delayed till today. Didn't show up today, so hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll show up tomorrow. And then if they do, I'll just go with a 200 and a 200. And what that did is that gives us 25 pounds stiffer on the right rear, and that should help with our push a little bit as well. So basically a bunch of fine adjustments is what I've been working on. Kind of gone through the car again, front to back, just checking things. The rear end needed about 3 or 4 ounces more fluid once we got everything circulated, so I did that. Just really checking the car over really well. I made a carburetor adjustment. This carburetor is really not ideal for this scenario. It's a vacuum secondary, and what I was doing is limiting the vacuum secondary coming in for it was a little bit more gradual for it wouldn't strike the rear tire and spin the tire. Well, now I made it a little bit more aggressive just because the motor's down a little bit of power with these cylinder heads. We had a better cylinder head on this engine in the past. So that's what we did there. Just a bunch of little adjustments, and they're all the right adjustments, if that makes sense, but you can do a little bit here and not enough there, and it's just not going to work out the way you want. So I'm trying to make fine adjustments to not get us too far off, but I may get to the track this Saturday and find out I'm going to have to take a bigger swing at this thing to get it more where I want it, and I'm okay with that. It's just part of testing. I mean, first time out, I'm excited about it. I had a great time. It was a lot of fun to get back out one of these things and make some laps. Definitely brought a smile to my face. That was a really good time. But now we got to make this thing fast because it wasn't fast. And I didn't expect it to be fast. It was mainly we're just trying to get the brake seated in and get some laps on it and just check everything over. And we accomplished that. That went exactly the way we wanted that to go. I do need to get some more laps on these brakes because it has all new pads on it. They're definitely not fully seated yet, so I may have to dial the brake adjuster either more front or more rear, depending on how they seat. Made a slight adjustment to the rear bumper, just trying to adjust the spoiler height. But yeah, everything went pretty well. Pretty excited. Just hopefully we'll be out Saturday. But it has been an absolute struggle to get parts. The COVID stuff has really, really affected this. And we're trying. We're doing our best. But one way or another, we'll take it out. And we may have to go back out with the springs we had. I really hope not. But this is the last normal race of the season. And then it goes into their blowout weekend here in a couple weeks. So then that'll be the final race. So we got 2 races left. Definitely wanted to get more time than that, but with Dad being in the hospital, and he is out of the hospital now, he's still recovering, but he should be able to come this Saturday. So I was going to take the car out Saturday, regardless, essentially, but I talked to him and thought it over, and I just didn't have enough time, and I really wanted him to be there. So we decided not to go Saturday, which would have been last Saturday, but we are going this Saturday. So that'll be it for tonight. A little bit of a rant, but just trying to get you guys up to date. If you guys have any questions on this setup, let me know. I'm definitely learning a lot as I go. This is my first time back in a car like this in about 6 years. And I did one race last year, but literally like 30 laps, and that was it. So yeah, I'm learning a lot. And then even that my previous experience, I only had 5 races, so I'm very, very limited. But we'll get it figured out. I'm having fun. If you guys have any questions, just comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep it saucy.